Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a quick overview of how to do a multiple beam weapon. Now, this is going to be a quick overview for people who already know about the editor. So if you're new to the editor, you might want to look for links in my description or other sources for a more in-detailed description. So let's say you have a void ray and you want to give it 2 beams to fire at something. Say maybe like the Colossus. So I'll just put some placeholder units here for testing later. And change this to a better one. Okay, so now that I have this test set up, let's jump into the data editor, which is where the majority of the work will be. So if you have Legacy of the Void, there's a weapon, if you go to the Colossus, called Thermal Lance and Thermal Lance Air. All you really need is these 2 weapons. If you don't have Legacy of the Void, or you don't want to make your map Legacy of the Void, you can simply copy this air from a map that does have it. For example, make a new one with Legacy of the Void dependency in it, and then you can copy all the properties from that and paste it into your own map. Now you can use both of these to simulate what you want and then modify it to whatever color you need. There's really no reason to make this from scratch if you can use something that's already made here in the editor. So this air one is, you need to go into the flags here in this weapon options, and this disabled is checked. You do not want that, so uncheck that, and you can see a lot of these are based towards flying flags. So you don't need to do anything else to that unless you want to change the damage or how it moves, things like that. You can play around with that later. And then the Thermal Lance is the normal one, you don't have to do anything there. So then let's go to our Units tab, and let's go to our Void Ray. Let's then go to the Weapons tab, over here on the right. And you'll notice it has Prismatic Beam, which is the default Void Ray weapon. So you can click on remove that because we don't want that anymore. So we're going to add a new one and type Colossus, and then we're going to add both the ground and the air attack weapon because Void Rays can attack both ground and air. So we're going to add both of those, click OK. And that is technically all you have to do to get a multiple ray weapon. But let's go more into depth of how this works. So, if we go into the weapons, and go back to this Colossus, we check out the Thermal Lance. So how does this work? Well, you have 2 actor beams. One is for the normal, which I believe goes left, and then the reverse, which goes the opposite direction. And then they have 2 other actors, which are for the impact locations. And really the only difference here is this host site operation, which shows whether there's shadows or other different events like that. And then you'll notice if you switch between these air and the lance, the only real difference is that the lance has this tree color, and that's just for cinematic effect. You know, it makes a burning effect on the ground, it burns trees and things like that. So the air does not have to deal with that, so they leave that off there. So then once you get a little farther into it, you get these sets, which will create the persistence. And if you notice, this create persistent effect has periodic offsets. and this is how the beam actually moves on the screen. So you could just have it offset one time over and over, and then it wouldn't move like the Colossus weapon. But the Colossus weapon has all these offsets which allows it to move. And if you look at the opposite one, you'll notice all these values are opposite. So if you'd like, you can change the damage or how large of a radius it has, or really anything you want. You can find the model here, which you can change like the size of the beam. You can also do that in the actor. You can look for in these events. You can add a new event and change the color. And since I said this is just a brief description, I will assume that you already know how to do that. You can also notice that there's upgrades for that, which you can upgrade. And in the weapons here, there's icons here on the top, which you can change to whatever you want. You can change the descriptions up here and here, and in the button itself. And you can really do whatever you want with this. So let's try it out. So here we are. I have my Void Ray that we placed earlier, and as you can see at the bottom, there's both of these weapons that we gave the Void Ray. You can change any of these properties in that data editor that we were in earlier. So let's go ahead and attack one and see what it looks like. As you can tell, that's pretty much what the normal Colossus weapon looks like. Let's try an air unit, because the Colossus don't normally do that. And you can see it attacks the air unit, and it will eventually die. So that is how you do a multiple beam weapon. So that is a very brief description of how a multiple beam weapon would work, and thank you for watching. More information will be in the description about where you can find better information about this if you want to read more.